Alrighty. So we have decided that we were going to create a new feature for acquisitive soul gems at user request, and so I've just finished putting that in and fixing it up, updating to the new version and all the rest of that. It's called Lossy Capture. That's what I call it. It's not a lot of changes. Pretty much all this stuff is all exactly the same. The only real difference is we've added this thing here, this big old chunk of code. Now all it is so it goes through just like normal, does the same regular soul capturing thing. However, if you fail to capture a soul in the appropriate size soul gem, like you don't have any greater soul gems, you're trying to capture a greater soul, this will be false. And if you have the setting turned on and the regular capture failed, then we'll go in and do these things here. You guys don't have to worry about this. This is just for debugging purposes. So we're going to explain this. This is the first one. They're all exactly the same except for which one they are. So if the target level, which is the level of the creature that you're trying to soul trap, is more than a greater. So if it's actually the only thing greater than greater is grand. So if it's a grand soul, but you don't have a grand soul, which is why we're here, but you do have at least one greater soul, then what we're going to do is we are going to say that we did successfully capture the soul. We captured it as a greater soul. We're going to remove one of your unfilled greater soul gems and give you a filled greater soul gem. It'll have a greater soul in it. And it's the same thing with the rest of these. This is for if the biggest soul you have, the biggest soul gem you have is a common soul gem. This is for if the biggest one you have is a lesser soul gem, and this is for if the biggest one you have is a petty soul gem. So if you are trying to, this does not work with black souls, by the way. Black souls can only be captured by black soul gems no matter what. However, if you are trying to capture a grand soul and you only have petty gems, you get to fill them up with you get to fill your petty soul gems with petty souls, which is quite a waste in my opinion, but hey, if you want to turn the setting on, that's your own decision. Now, if we do successfully capture a soul at a loss, then this will happen. You will get this message on your screen, and then we'll do all this stuff, and you'll be told what kind of soul was actually captured down here, just like normal. Like I said, this is the only difference, is we get a loss. If we're capturing at a loss, this will happen as well. Now, because we added a new option, that means we needed to add the option to both the regular book and the MCM menus, so that you can actually change the option. So it was actually really simple on both cases. We just added a new thing here. That's it. And we added a new thing here. And that's it. Now, one weird thing, I had a lot of problems with this. It took me forever. I do not know why this was happening, but I used to have an integer that said how many settings we actually had. And it used to be 5 back when I first did this, and now it's 7. But for some reason, even though I changed it to say we have 7, it was still loading as 5, which was messing this thing up, which is actually how we find out what the settings are. So I just hard-coded it to be the maximum it can possibly be. The reason I had it for have the number of settings we actually have is so that we didn't go through all 32 bits every single time. We just went through the bits that actually were being used, but not happening. So we're good. But yeah, so that's everything there, and now we just basically got to test it out. So give me just a second here. So obviously we're testing this in the original Skyrim first because, well, that's just what we do. What we're going to do right now is we're going to load an old save that already has the old version of the mod, just to make sure that this does work when you're upgrading. Now, I do want to say, this right here that we're looking at, this thing, is using the old version of the script. So this is not actually going to work. If we go in here, see, wait, actually, it is actually working correctly, which is interesting, because I did not expect that to happen. Okay, so let's just turn that off, and let's turn that on. Yeah, we're doing really good here, and you see all 5 things are going on, and we can read the book or not, whatever. Now we can read the book. Yeah. And so this is the thing. I've updated the text to include the new stuff. It still has the old stuff as well, and so on. This is just a change log all the way down to the end. We don't really care about that right now. So this is, if you want to read the book, there's some information here about all the stuff. Yay and whatnot. Okay, and now let's check out the MCM menu. And as you can see, we turned on the Black Souls and the Lossy Capture. Everything else was turned off. And that's reflected. Oh, and just so you can see, if we turn this on, you'll notice how that has, right? That's how it was when I first started this save. We go back in here, and you'll see that it is actually, they both do actually successfully change the settings. If you ever want to look at the settings, I am not going to tell you what this means specifically, but this is, everything is saved in one variable. That's the ASGM settings variable. 120 is what the current settings add up to. So like if I were to like turn these off, it would now read as 16. Oh no, 48. Yeah, okay. That's because there's 2 settings that are automatically always turned on when you load up the menu. One of them is whether or not we should allow the book to be removed. The other one is whether or not to turn on the SKSE supported translations. So this is actually turned on, and now I've turned it off, and you'll see that now it is 16. But anyway, let's turn this on, and turn this on, and close, and now you'll see it's 88, and when we open up the mod configuration menu, these settings are still there, but now it's back to 120, and that's because of the 2 things that are automatically turned on. So now we need to get some smaller soul gems. So let's get, let's go with common. Sure, why not? Should grab like 10 of those. Okay, and then let's go find ourselves a giant. Giants have a, giants are greater souls, as are mammoths if I remember correctly. Now we do not have any greater souls. We have black souls, which are too big, and we have common souls, which are too small. So let's turn on God mode and make myself stupendously fast. Boop. Okay, and where exactly? I don't remember where it is. somewhere around here there's a giant, there it is. Giant camp. Okay. I'll pull out my soul trap bow. And we'll just kill this guy. This is just testing the machine. It actually does. It's gonna take a little bit just because. I mean, I could just kill him. I don't want to do that. Lossy capture, common soul capture. And as you can see, there's a common soul. Alright, so now, let's see. Let's get it. So just so you can see that that doesn't happen if you actually do have the right size to F4. We're going to give ourselves some greater soul gems. We're going to kill this giant. That time I said I captured a greater soul, and if you look, we got a greater soul gem. Okay, so now we are going to drop all of these and find a mammoth. There's a mammoth. Also greater soul. Lossy capture. I got a common soul. There's the common soul. So as you can see, it is working perfectly. The settings menus are working perfectly with the new option. So that means everything is good to go. Right. So that means that that's everything perfectly good. So we can now take this and we're going to rename this guy to 4.6 because that's going to be the new thingamajigger. And then we take all this stuff except for that. We're going to copy it in there. Oops, we don't want to have it inside itself. That's just stupid. Alright, so we've got all of these things in here. Alright. If you look, you can see that these things were modified recently. So we can verify that yes, it is actually the current version that is in this 7-zip file now. We're not using old RIM anymore, so we don't need that. Alright, and now we've got it over here. We don't need this one. So now we get to open up the Skyrim Creation Kit for the for Special Edition, which is right there. Yep, still working. Whenever it wants to load. Yeah, whatever, okay. Okay, well, we'll be right back, I guess, while we wait for this thing to fix itself.